Welcome to our virtual yoga class. My name is Vanessa, and I'm here to support you for the rest of the practice. So we'll begin class in a cross-legged position. So go ahead and make your way there. And then place attention to your posture. Do so by noticing your core, activate your core. Gently lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down, neutral chin, and then eyes can be opened or closed. I recommend that if your eyes are open, to look at one point across the floor or room. A steady gaze is a steady mind. Start to shift attention to your breath, noticing the quality of your breath. Feel free to make adjustments in the seated position. Find that comfort. You're noticing your belly and your ribcage expand as you inhale. Noticing that slow release as you exhale. We're practicing arriving to this moment, arriving to our bodies by welcoming our breath. We're welcoming our experience. Inhale here, and optional exhale, side out. We're also creating that bridge of our physical, mental, emotional bodies through our breath. Throughout the class, I'll continuously remind you to go back to your breath, building the bridge of our physical, mental, emotional bodies, inviting intentional breaths as we explore the poses, as you work on your strength, flexibility, and balance. We're also cultivating a sense of spaciousness and stillness. Sometimes this is accessible to us, sometimes it's more difficult. We welcome either experience. Intentional breath, inhale, belly expands, ribcage expands, exhale. Notice that release in the belly as you exhale. Once again, checking in with your posture, active core, an open and lifted chest, shoulders soft and relaxed. Inhale and exhale, side out. Noticing the quality of our breath without judgment. Two or three more breath cycles here. And then if your eyes are closed, we'll start to gently open our eyes. On your following inhale, let's lift our arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, palms reach up towards the ceiling. You're lengthening your elbows, hold. So you're holding here, but you're not holding your breath. And stretch towards the left, making sure that you keep your sit bones anchored onto the floor. Those are the bones near your glutes. Chin is soft. And then back to center, opposite side. Welcoming that deep belly breath. Back to center. Now drop your hands right behind your head and notice your elbows and gently press them towards the back. You're bringing your shoulder blades closer together. One breath, breathing into your shoulders, between your shoulder blades. And then leading through your chest, your heart, start to twist towards the left and the right. Leading through your chest and your heart. You can swivel back and forth continuously, or you can remain on one side if you desire to explore that side. Don't forget to breathe. Anchor your sit bones onto the mat. Replacing attention from the lower back, mid back to upper back, to the areas between our shoulders. Belly expands with your breath. Then start to release that twist. Release your hands. Now take that left hand, grab your right knee, and then twist towards the right, taking your chin towards that right shoulder. You're using that grip to intensify the twist. Place attention to that mid back, upper back. Don't forget to breathe. And then release. Now right hand grips your left knee, twist towards the left, taking your chin towards your left shoulder. Spine is long. Use your grip to intensify the twist. Focus on the lower back, mid back, upper back. Another breath here or two. And then release, come back to center, hands rest on your knees, practicing intentional breaths and supporting our focus. 3 breath cycles. Let's inhale here, exhale, optional side out. Cultivating that sense of stillness and spaciousness, welcoming our breath, therefore welcoming our experience. At any point, inhaling here, exhaling, sighing out. And after those 3 breath cycles or so, we'll start to release our cross-legged position and lengthen our legs. We have been focusing on our upper body. Now let's focus on our hamstrings all the way down to our calves. So first, as we lengthen our legs, we're going to notice our posture. We lengthen our spine by gently activating our core, shoulders slide down. Now we flex our feet, and just by lengthening our spine and flexing our feet, we activate a stretch from hamstrings to calves. Take a breath here, noticing. And then after that breath cycle, leading through your chest, start to drop your belly towards the mat. Hands can reach to thighs, shins, or toes. Make sure you're not crunching your shoulders up towards your ears. Now we'll remain here for quite a few breath cycles here. So allow yourself to deepen. You're using your breath to support you as you're exploring your flexibility. Now we notice our boundary, breathe into our boundary and stretch it just a little bit more, not to a point that's painful or uncomfortable. Try not to crunch up around neck and shoulders. And quiet your breath as you explore your flexibility. About 5 more breath cycles. You don't necessarily have to count the breath. It's an estimate. Inhale and exhale. Deep belly breath. Notice that type of breath that begins with the belly. Belly expands on that inhale. Pull just a little bit more. You can always invite a little micro bend to your knees. One more breath cycle. And release, slowly lengthening and releasing the spine here. Now bring both soles of the feet together, knees are bent, lengthen your spine leading through your chest, fold. Elbows can rest in the creases right behind your knees. 3 to 5 breaths here. Inhale, exhale, same principle. You're noticing where your boundary is and seeing where can you fold just a little bit more. Spine is long, neck is soft. One more breath, inhale, exhale. And then release. We'll go ahead and shift to one of our most common transition poses, our tabletop. You're taking your hands right beneath your shoulders and knees are about hips width distance apart. Make sure you have that correct stance here. It's important for alignment. Hands beneath shoulders, knees hips width distance apart. We're going to press through our palms and then lift our left leg, bend our knee, stack our hips. So the more that we bend our knee, the more we activate a gentle stretch throughout the quad muscle. You're also opening here in glutes and hips. Keep your palm grounded onto the mat. Deep belly breath. And now pressing through your palms, knee and chin move towards your chest. So you're rounding your spine here. Hovering, a little core activation as well. And release your knee onto the mat. Opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, inviting that generous bend to that knee, activating that stretch in the quad. You're opening in the glutes, lower back and hip. Deep belly breath. Now pressing through your palms, chin and knee move towards your chest. Your knee hovers. You press through your palms. Release your knee onto the mat. Let's inhale up, cow pose. Exhale. Tuck your tailbone in, cat pose. You're placing attention to your tailbone here. There's a lift, generous lift here to that tailbone as you lift into a cow pose. And purposely tucking that tailbone in your cat pose. So move at your own pace, and you have 2 options. You can create more of that flow energy, meaning inhaling cow and then exhaling cat. But you also have the option of staying in cat or cow longer into an extra inhale and exhale. It's all right. To exhale into a cow pose is all right. To inhale into a cat pose. So see what works for you. You want to cultivate this as your own personal yoga practice, starting to listen to your body, noticing where is it that you need that flow? When is it that you need to hold a pose and explore a little longer? Part of our goal in our yoga practice is to notice those subtle shifts in the body that support us physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then wherever you're at, maybe one more round of a cow pose, one more round of a cat pose. And then we'll come back into a neutral tabletop and shift into our forward fold, grounding our feet onto the mat. Our hips width distance apart. We drop our belly towards our thighs. We check in with our neck. Our neck is soft. Our head is heavy. Take one deep belly breath here and then press through your heels. We're going to inhale, lift our arms up into an extended mountain pose. Our spine is long, our arms are lifted, palms face each other. Stay here, lifting your chin, lifting your gaze. Chest is open. Inhale. Exhale, you're noticing your heels all the way up to your fingertips. Lifting chin and gaze creates that inner sense of optimism. Deep inhale and exhale, hands come to touch. Notice your left hand pressing against right hand pressing against left hand, hands in front of our heart center, shoulders soft. Your choice, eyes are open or closed. We practice noticing our breath. By noticing our breath, we're welcoming our breath and our experience. Noticing that throughout the class, we're cultivating that inner sense of stillness and spaciousness just by shifting our attention to our breath, our bodies. Letting go of our to-do lists, our tasks for tomorrow. We arrive to this moment, welcoming our breath. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Continuously building that bridge towards our physical, mental, emotional well-being. Now start to release your hands. We're gonna lift our arms, our hands, interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling, lengthen your elbows here, and then lift your heels either halfway or all the way up. So we have this two-legged balance. Find a point to focus on. Keep your gaze steady. It's a practice here with a steady gaze. We invite a steady mind. Our shoulders are drawn down and relaxed. Always feel free to step in and out of balance poses. Inhale. And exhale, release your heels, release your hands, interlace your fingers behind you. Either palms touch or they do not. Bring your shoulder blades closer together. Lift your chin, lift your gaze. Elbows are extended. You're opening your chest, shoulders in between your shoulder blades, upper back. Inhale, exhale. Start to invite a soft bend to your knees. We're going to fold all the way down, extending our elbows behind us, drawing our shoulder blades closer together, softening our neck, allowing our head to drop. Elbows remain extended behind us. Be purposeful in bringing your shoulder blades closer together. Hold. Holding the pose, not your breath. And now hands to your shins. 3 rounds. We inhale halfway up. Your back is flat. Your weight steps back into your heels. Drop, head is soft. Second round, inhale halfway up. A natural exhale as you release. Third round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice. You can sweep your arms up overhead or roll up slowly, head coming up last. Also your choice, 2 different variations of your mountain pose, either hands in front of your heart center or hands framing your hips. Taking a moment here to collect our breath. Noticing your heels or fingertips, noticing that line of energy from the base of the spine to the top of our head. Continuously practicing arriving to this present moment. Inhaling and exhaling for the day we've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. And inhaling and exhaling for the rest of our day. If your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. We're going to prepare for 3 sun salutations. I'll go ahead and guide. However, you want to move quicker or a little more slow, go ahead and do so. Inhale, we sweep our arms up, extending throughout the spine, reaching our arms up. And then exhale, fold down, hinging down from the hips, folding here, softening your neck. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Make sure your hands are directly beneath your shoulders. Legs are extended, heels pressed towards the back, core activated, plank pose. And then release down towards the floor. Now you can engage your glutes for support here as we lift up into an upward facing dog, pressing through our palms, elbows are long, shoulders are drawn down. From upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Pressing through our palms, spine is extended, hips are lifted up towards the ceiling. Breathe into the backs of your legs, press through your palms. Take your gaze right between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's sweep our arms up overhead, welcoming the energy of the day. Integrating it down to our heart centers. Noticing left hand press against right hand press against left hand. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down, forward fold. Softening your neck. Inhale, halfway up. Back is flat. Exhale, release. Step back into plank pose, activating your core. So ideally on an exhale, you're releasing down towards the floor. Pressing through your palms, lengthen up into an upward facing dog. Shoulders away from your ears. There's an extension here throughout the spine, opening in the abdomen. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Deep belly breath here. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Let's inhale here, halfway up. Exhale. Release. Sweep your arms up overhead. Preparing for our 3rd sun salutation. Hands meet in front of our heart center. Gather your breath. Notice your heels. Release your hands. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Hands on shins. Exhale, release. Soften neck and head. Step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Activate that core. And then lift up into that upward facing dog. You're pressing through your palms. Elbows extend. Spine is long. Tops of the feet on the floor. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Generous breath here in your downward facing dog. Keep your palms firmly on the mat. Lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, chest moves closer towards that right thigh. Hold. Generous breath. And release that left foot onto the mat. Now opposite side, lift your right leg, bend your right knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, and then child's pose, knees drop down towards the mat. Either knees can remain close together, or you can take your knees towards the edges of the mat. Arms stretch out forward. To support yourself and your concentration, your attentiveness with your breath, I recommend lengthening the length of your inhale and exhale just a little longer than you're accustomed to. Inhaling, receiving anything that supports you. Exhaling, releasing anything that does not. This is a holistic yoga practice where we work on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Noticing how our breath grounds us. Notice how we can cultivate this inner sense of stillness and spaciousness. About 3 more breaths in your child's pose, perhaps lengthening the length of your inhale and exhale a little longer than you're accustomed to. And then after another breath in your child's pose, we'll press our palms onto the mat and lift up into our downward facing dog. And now take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Now from here, we're gonna take our left hand, press it onto the mat, lift our right arm up towards the ceiling. There's a generous bend to that left knee to support you. Hold here, inhale, exhale. You can gently press through that right heel, lengthening your leg. It can be subtle, activating a deeper stretch into the hamstrings and hips. Don't forget to breathe here. There's a lot going on. And then release that right hand on the mat. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Generous bend to that right knee for support. You can take your gaze up towards the ceiling. If that creates strain, just release your gaze towards the floor. Apply some gentle pressure on that left heel, lengthening that leg ever so slightly, deepening that stretch in hamstrings and hips. And then release your hand. Your choice, roll up slowly or sweep your arms up overhead. Make this your personal practice. Learn to listen to your body. Hands either in front of your heart center or mountain pose, hands framing your hips, palms facing towards the front. Let's take a moment here to ground through our heels, noticing that line of energy from the base of the spine to the top of your head. Inhale here. Exhale. Eyes can be opened or closed. 2 more breaths. Inhale here. Optional exhale, side out. Arriving to this moment, releasing those to-do lists. And then after another breath, we can start to release that mountain pose and then pedal our feet onto the floor. We're going to shift into a warrior two, taking our right foot forward, stepping our left leg back. Our left foot is in a diagonal. Take a moment to adjust your pose here. You want to make sure that right knee's in a 90-degree angle. There's a natural opening to your hips here. You're gonna bring your arms out to a T, so right arm over that right thigh. Take your gaze over that right hand. Keep a steady gaze. You're noticing a line of energy from one fingertip to the opposite fingertip. Your shoulders are drawn down, chest is open, your heels are grounded onto the floor. It's a pose of strength and stability. Find that point to focus on. And now release that left hand behind that left thigh. Lift your right arm up. We'll stretch here in the lower back. You're opening through the hips. Inhale. And exhale back to that warrior two. Take your gaze over that right hand. Deep belly breath. Inhale, exhale. And release that right elbow right on top of that left thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale, exhale. You can either remain here or lengthen that right knee. Drop your hand down to your ankle, shin, or to the floor. You can take your gaze up towards the ceiling. If that creates strain for your neck, just drop your gaze towards the floor. Breathe into that right hip, right hamstring. Stabilize with that right hand on the mat or gripping your ankle or shin. You're extending that left arm up towards the ceiling. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Start to spin your hands down. So both hands frame that right foot. Now you're going to take your hands forward. We're going to come into standing splits. Make sure your hands are beneath your shoulders. You're pressing through that right heel. Lift your left leg as high as you can. You're dropping your belly towards that right thigh. Neck is soft, head drops. Breathe into that right leg, especially around that right hip, right hamstring. Soften neck and head. Try not to crunch up around the neck or shoulders. Hands are directly beneath your shoulders. You can have your fingertips resting on the mat. And now left foot meets that right foot. Let's inhale halfway up, hands to shins, back is flat, shoulders draw back. Exhale. Release your choice how you come up to standing. Move at your own pace, your own rhythm. Hands in front of your heart center. Inhale here, exhale, shoulders drawn down. Your choice, eyes open or closed. By welcoming our breath, we're welcoming our experience. This is a process of self-care, self-compassion. Inhale. Exhale. Release your mountain pose. We'll shift into warrior two, opposite side. Now our left foot shifts forward, right leg steps back, right foot in a diagonal. Take a moment to adjust your stance here. Make sure that knee is at a 90-degree angle. There's a natural opening in your hips. Now spine is long. Arms come out to that T. You can check both arms to make sure they're level, parallel to the floor. Now take your gaze directly over that left hand. Find that point to focus on. Steady gaze, a steady mind. This is a pose of strength and stability. You're grounded through your feet. Arms radiate in opposite directions. Gaze is steady. And now release that right hand behind your thigh. Lift your left arm up. Stretch here in the lower back and side body as well. You're activating glute strength as well. Don't forget to breathe. And then back to center, warrior two with a steady gaze. Invite a breath. And then left elbow right on top of that right thigh. Lift your right arm up. You can take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Good practice here, extending that right arm up towards the ceiling. Whenever I purposely imagine there's a thread wrapped around your wrist, supporting you and lifting that right arm up towards the ceiling. Either remain here or extend that left knee, drop your hand towards your ankle. You can drop your hand onto the mat. Breathe into your left hamstring, left hip as you're simultaneously reaching your right arm up. Inhale. And exhale. Release. Both hands frame that left foot. Inch your hand forward so your hands are beneath your shoulders as you press that left foot onto the mat. Lift your right leg as high as you can. Soften your neck. Head drops. Belly moves towards that left thigh. Standing splits. Then breathe into your left hip. And now right foot meets that left foot. Let's inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, and then step back into a downward facing dog. Hands ground onto the mat. Hips are lifted, heels are lifted. Breathe, 3 breaths. Belly expands. Optional exhale, side out. Breathe into the backs of your legs, spine is extended. Lots of upper body strength here as well. And now extend your legs back, plank pose, hands beneath your shoulders. Release down towards the floor, knees on the mat, belly onto the floor. Remain here. So 2 options. You can either interlace your fingers, palms touching or not, or you can just shoot your fingertips behind you. Just make sure you're purposely drawing your shoulder blades closer together. 5 rounds. Inhale up, lift your chest, lift your legs, exhale, release. Lots of strength and opening here throughout the core, lower, mid, and upper back. Inhaling up, exhaling, dropping down. Make sure your shoulders are drawn back, not crunching up next to your ears or neck. Move at your own pace with your breath. There's a natural support there on that inhale as you lift. And then I recommend that once you reach that 5th round, remain there an extra breath cycle, 2 or 3. Mentally prepare yourself for that 5th round, holding the pose, not forgetting to breathe. You're holding the pose on that 5th round. Another extra breath, 2 or 3, you can determine. And then once you've held that 5th round, release the pose, drop your cheek onto the mat, collapse your body. You still remain attentive and aware with your breath. Notice. You can cultivate that experience of softening and relaxing the body, yet remaining attentive, focused, and aware. It's difficult to take deep breaths when we're laying on our belly, so just find a comfortable breath, about 3 breaths. Being mindful of softening neck, shoulders, down the spine. And then we'll start to release this pose. 1 more round. either interlacing your fingers or just shooting your hands behind you. 5 rounds. We inhale up, using that inhale to support us in that lift, exhaling, releasing. Now you can engage your glutes here for extra support. Tops of the feet can float off the floor. 5 rounds, inhaling up, exhaling, releasing. Move at your own pace with your breath, mentally preparing yourself for that 5th round, staying there an extra breath cycle, 2 or 3. Stretching throughout the abdomen, the core, strengthening lower back, mid back, upper back. On that 5th round, remaining there an extra breath cycle, 2 or 3. And once you've held that 5th round, you can release the pose, opposite cheek on to the mat. Being very purposeful here in softening the body. As a holistic yoga practice, we appreciate moments where we're active, but we also appreciate moments where we slow down and soften and relax the body. Remain attentive and aware with the breath. Three more breaths on your belly, inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll start to release the pose by grounding our palms onto the mat, shifting into our tabletop. As we ground our palms onto the mat, knees, hips width distance apart. One final cat and cow pose, just for extra protection for the length of our spine. We inhale up, lifting our tailbone. Exhale, tuck our tailbone in, tuck our chin towards our chest. And release. We'll shift into our cross-legged position. Noticing our posture, activating our core, gently opening our chest. Hands resting on our knees. Let's lift our shoulders up towards our ears and then draw them back. Hands rest on your knees. Shoulders up towards your ears, draw them back. So as I draw my shoulders back, I'm very purposely drawing my shoulder blades closer together. And after a few rounds there, you can bring your shoulders back to that neutral position. Our neck and shoulders tend to be sore. We store tension around our neck and shoulders. We tend to look over in our smartphones and laptops or hunch over in cars. Drop your chin towards your chest and then roll your head from one shoulder to the next, either half a circle, or completing a full circle. We're going to place attention to the sides of the neck, the throat, back of the neck, and extend that awareness to the upper back and shoulders. Isolate the areas that feel a little tense or sore. Breathe into that space. Now we will remain here quite a number of breaths. So give yourself an opportunity to deepen. You can also work on some meditation by bringing your head back to a neutral position. A few more breaths, 3 to 5. Inhaling, exhaling. Releasing tension, neck and shoulders, upper back. And then we'll start to bring our head back to a neutral position. Let's inhale here, optional exhale, side out, eyes opened or closed. And then we'll begin to transition to lay on the mat. So extend your legs out in front of you. Make sure you have room behind you to lay down. Little core workout as you release down towards the floor. Palms up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Slowly release. Find a point to hover and hold. And then drop your head back. Once again, gathering your breath here, inhaling here, optional exhale, side out. Bend your knees, feet float off the floor. Grab your knees with your hands, rock towards the left and towards the right, massaging the lower back and the area around your tailbone. And then release that left foot onto the mat. Rest that right shin or ankle on top of your left thigh. Weave your right hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. Now you can hang in here or intensify that stretch around that right hip by bringing your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest. Now, as you bring your thigh closer towards your belly and chest, that can be a subtle shift. Breathe into your right hip. And then similar principles when we're exploring flexibility. You're noticing where your boundary is and seeing how can you fold just a little bit more. Still invite an intentional breath. Use your breath to support you as you're working on that flexibility. Inhale, exhale, and release. Now, right foot on the mat. Rest your left shin or ankle on top of your right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. You can hang in here. There's already a stretch here. Or you can intensify that stretch. Bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest. Deep belly breath. And release. Feet float off the floor. Grab your knees with your hands around your spine. Forehead up towards your knee, chin towards your chest. Hold. And then drop your head, lengthen your legs, full body stretch. You're gonna lift your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, lift your abdomen, releasing any compression there in the lower back and mid back. You can point your toes, elbows are long, extended. You can swivel to the left, to the right, getting the final stretch out there in that full body stretch. And then start to release that stretch. We're gonna shift into our final resting pose of the class, our Shavasana. Legs are long, backs of the hands are on the mat or floor, palms face up towards the ceiling. Back of the head on the mat. Let's gather an intentional breath here. Deep belly breath, inhaling and exhaling, sighing out. And notice that at any time throughout your day or week, you can always return to your full breath. Give yourself the experience of your full breath, inhaling, ribcage, belly expanding, perhaps exhaling, sighing out. And now in our last resting pose, you can either practice deep intentional breaths or go back to your breath's natural rhythm. No control of the breath. There's benefits to either approach. Our last resting pose is an opportunity to release, to receive, and to integrate your practice physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it's a pose that teaches us the wisdom of slowing down and of doing nothing, being still. Soften your forehead, jaw, neck, and shoulders. These are all areas that subconsciously store tension. Imagining what is it like to soften just a little bit further. Soften down the length of your arms to wrist, palms, and fingertips. Noticing that we do so much with our hands. Notice what it's like to soften our palms, our fingertips. Letting go. And then soften the upper back, mid back, lower back to the area around the tailbone. Release down the length of your legs, hips behind your knees, down to your ankles, heels, and toes. Observing thoughts and sensations without judgment, just noticing. And then we'll start to shift our attention back to our breath. Inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restoring some movement to your fingertips and toes. You can invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms overhead, pointing your toes, or you can turn your body from one side to the next. Allowing it to remain happy and relaxed. Returning to a generous and a leisurely breath. There is no hurry. And after another breath or two, start to make your way slowly up to your seat. Coming into any seat that's comfortable for you. Do make adjustments to feel comfortable in your seat. Invite integrity by lengthening your spine, drawing your shoulders down. Notice the quality of your breath. And then we'll take a moment to reflect on our breath, noticing that as we welcome our breath, we welcome our experience. And that's a process of self-care and self-compassion. And that we are able to serve others better when we support ourselves. Let's take our hands in front of our heart center and seal the class with an intentional breath. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.